Hey, Bert, are those the new Pokemon booster packs you got there?
Uh-huh.
Oh, well, that's nice, Bert. Now, how's about you hand over those booster packs before things get pretty ugly? I don't ask twice, Bert.
Pokemon. It's a series I grew up with, starting with a copy of Pokemon Blue that I still have to this very day. If you've seen any of my Pokemon videos, you know that I'm a fan of this series and also one of its biggest critics. Normally I keep to myself in the gaming sector of things, but with Pokemon Legends Z to A still not being announced outside some jackass leakers with Pokemon Day, the Pokemon content front is a little dry, so I figured that we'd talk about something a little different. The Pokemon trading card game. And, well, it friggin' sucks to be part of that cycle, especially in today's market.
I can't wait to eat dog shit.
What I'm saying isn't new. I'm sure by the time you clicked on this video, you've probably seen a ton of Pokemon dedicated channels talking about this subject, and how there's a big issue with collecting Pokemon cards. That's to say, people are scalping the hell out of them. They're buying entire stocks and are even going so far to assault other people just to get these little packets of cardboard with pretty pictures. Before we get too far, I want to give my recent experience with this situation. At the time of me recording this, the two latest releases are the Prismatic Evolutions and the Blooming Water sets. Now, as I and my lovely girlfriend are both into collecting the cards for fun, I had gotten myself to the local GameStop so I could at least get one of the newly released products there. Unfortunately, there was a line. Now, this isn't anything new, but let me tell you about the card sharks. You see, in my local area, which I won't be telling you where I am for the sake of privacy, I had a couple run-ins with a group of 3 to 5 people. My first encounter with them was when Prismatic Evolutions first dropped, and while I was checking out the local box stores like Target and Walmart, I saw these people actively hounding employees, crowding around them and interrogating them, more often than not, an older person. Cut to the more recent example, most of the group wasn't there, but just 5 minutes before the store opened, 4 people just basically went up and cut in line. Apparently one of their crew had saved their spot in line. Now, if you ask me, that's kinda dumb, especially when it's with a product like this which is rare and in low stock. This kind of behavior should not be allowed, especially since it's basically a grade school technique. Of course, the employees of GameStop aren't going to care or pay attention to this, and I can't really blame them for that. What I can blame them, though, is when I was asking if they could possibly allow me to pre-order the next set of Pokemon cards, I got cussed out by the employee. Now that could be because GameStop is a horrible company, or it could be I just met with a jackass. Either one works. Of course, there's one more aspect to the situation that I do need to bring up because they had just run out of Blooming Waters right before I got to the counter. And before I could even enter the store, one of those scalpers I had talked about rushed into me, slammed me into the door, with my neck hitting the metal handle. So, yeah, basically assault and battery. That was a horrible experience with not only these people, but employees and such. Luckily for me, I was able to get my hands on a few copies of this stuff at another store, but at a marked up price. Which, can we talk about that for a second? For those of you who aren't familiar, the standard Elite Trainer boxes, or ETBs, tend to run for about $45 to $50. In it you get about 9 packs of Pokemon cards, a promo card, a few tokens and damage counters, some sleeves and card dividers. It's a good bargain for a lot of stuff. Normally! But when Prismatic Evolution dropped, even at my local hole in the wall, they were charging well over $150 for the just dropped ETB. That's 3 times the market price. The sticker sets, which come with 3 packs and some stickers, $45. That's $15 a pack. And that's if you can even find the damn things. Even with pre-orders, unless you go to something like TCG Player, which has them at the more inflated prices, $9 for a single pack.
You don't want to be like this. This is disgusting. This is awful in every way. If I could kill it, I would.
Who the hell is charging that much for a product that wasn't even released yet? I'm sure anyone who's familiar with something like the Pokemon Center will go, well, just order directly from the store. Well, I would if people didn't use bots to buy this stuff before they even got a chance to put them on the shelf. Hell, look at these prices. $26 for a booster bundle of Prismatic Evolutions, $60 for the Elite Trainer boxes. This is honestly disgusting how people are going so far to mark up prices for something that is barely even a month old. and frankly speaking, it's a major turnoff from the hobby as well as acts as a pseudo gatekeeping mechanism. Oh, you don't have your buddies here to cheat the system? Sucks to be you. Scalpers have bots on the ready to claim a product as soon as it's announced? Forget about it, pal. Don't have the Discord server filled with other scalpers who are stalking people who are bringing the cards to the actual stores? Well, who cares about morality? This is super anti-consumer. Now, I bring this all up for a reason, and that's because how the Pokemon card game is being used is disgusting to me. This is going to be a big generalization, but with how it is, it really feels like the actual people who are interested in the game outside of monetary value are getting iced out of the hobby. That isn't me saying that money shouldn't be a motivator, but much like anything, this sort of thing really freezes people out of hobbies and will eventually kill it. Well, either that or jackasses who are burning sealed boxes. And it's even getting worse when these people are literally putting people in danger by fighting. Now you may be wondering, how did we even get this way? We had a similar surge of scalping happening all the way back when the pandemic happened. You'd find cards shelves would be cleaned out. A lot of people back in the day increased the demand of Pokemon cards, and it's not hard to believe that part of the reason was because of YouTubers and influencers. Now, I'm not going to say it's because of one singular YouTuber, as easy as it would be, especially with a proven scammer like Logan Paul, but if you look on sites like YouTube or TikTok, you'll get these short videos of people opening up the cards, and when they do, they display the card's monetary worth on the screen. I'm sure you guys at one point or another have heard the words,
"From the 1900s,
should I open it or should I keep it sealed?"
Again, I'm not saying this is one singular person behind this, but it's obvious that a lot of people have seen these videos as channels and view counts and immediately blow it up to even millions at times and go, I can do that too! It pushes people into thinking that cards are more valuable, and thus scalpers appear on the scene, grabbing what they can, and damned be to anyone who actually values the game or the cards that they are. Gotta squeeze whatever blood we can from these stones, and the biggest issues I have with this whole situation is the reaction by the stores and even the Pokemon Company in that regard. At the time of me making this video, GameStop has outright stated they will no longer allow pre-orders for Pokemon cards to engage with more foot traffic. Oh yeah, that's a real great idea there, geniuses! Let's make it so people who either can't get there in time, or people who have other things to do with their life, like say, jobs and family, make this even more fruitless! I am not against pre-orders, but much like how I explained, scalpers have and will find a way to gyp the system. It's been a well-known horrible fact that a lot of the time when you try to order from the official Pokemon site for cards, they've already sold out because there are scalpers with bot accounts to set to buy the cards immediately, only to take that product that is $50 and then turn it around to sell it for 4 times as much. So there are plenty of problems with this system. And just simply printing more cards clearly isn't fixing the issue, nor is it dealing with the stores and vendors who simply don't care. As long as they get the money, they don't care who they sell to. And I hear you say as you type up your comment, well, I don't hear you coming up with solutions, Kamen. And that is where you are wrong, my friends. I do have solutions, but they probably won't work because 1, I don't have that big of a voice in the Pokemon TCG community. 2, it actually requires people to care. And 3, humanity just sucks. But for the sake of content and breaking that 10-minute mark, here we go. Idea number 1, limiting sales. It's probably the most logical idea out there, and it's something that most stores are starting to implement, but it's not a foolproof plan. More often than not, you'll see that sometimes stores like GameStop will limit items being sold to be 2 per person. However, in my own personal experience and my own eyewitness testimony, that has a big flaw. I've seen quote-unquote family members of scalpers joining them, purchasing the products, and then hand them over to the scalper in the parking lot. If you recall the story I brought up earlier in this video, one of those card sharks had brought his girlfriend or wife or whatever, who didn't want to be there, obviously, and do this exact thing that I talked about. The logical aspect is to have the employees actually watch the customers in line and limit them by household instead of person. But that's going to be really hard to enforce because you can't know for certain. And again, you have to have the employees actually give a crap about this because they sure as hell won't, especially if you have scalpers who are going to treat them like garbage. Alright, next idea, do not buy secondhand. I know it's tempting to want to get the latest and greatest cards, but most of the time these scalpers will jack up the prices of them, and sometimes more than likely it'll be at prices that the cards themselves aren't really worth getting. The third is something that the Pokemon Company is going to have to do, and that's to print things into the ground. I understand this probably won't be effective, but if the newer stuff is printed more and more, that means the logics of supply and demand will be really kneecapped to these scalpers. Then again, with people who are willing to spend almost $2,000 just to burn these cards for content, you can't really account for idiots like that. If all this sounds like it's still not enough, that's because it isn't. Because the reality is that our world sucks, and people suck. And I say this as a person who wants to see the brighter side of things and see the good in people, at least until I got my neck slammed into a door. Ultimately, with the exception of not buying secondhand products, a lot of what happens is out of the hands of the people who actually love this game outside the monetary value. I personally got back into the card game after seeing my girlfriend really get into the collecting aspect of it. She loved collecting the cards, and after seeing all the gorgeous artwork of various art styles, I was reminded of why I initially collected the cards when I was a kid. But with stuff like this happening, I'm reminded of why I stopped collecting cards at the time for at least 2 decades. And that's because a lot of people who are in the hobby, but not for the hobby's sake, ruin it for so many people. And I'm gonna be honest, with the way this is going, I can see myself and plenty of others getting burned out of the hobby. Though I probably should have stopped when I got slammed into a door. For the second time. So, let me ask you guys, what would you do in order to stop the scalpers? I know that this isn't my usual content as I try to stick to the usual media analysis, but considering that I'm an avid fan of the Pokemon TCG and Pokemon in general, I feel like this is an issue that does need to be talked about more by people who aren't actually in that community. Plus, I was assaulted, so I think I'm a little annoyed with that. Regardless, let me know your thoughts down below. I'm MangaKamen, and thanks for watching. Later.